This Good to Go segment is sponsored by Spectrum Health Medical Group.
Studies have shown that the average life expectancy for men in the United States is almost 5 years less than women. Now, despite those statistics, men have consistently shown they are less inclined to see a physician, often waiting until they're quite ill to do it. Preventive medicine is apparently not something a lot of men think about. Dr. Harland Holman is a physician at Spectrum Health Medical Group, and he's here to discuss the mistakes and misconceptions men make with regard to their health and share some pointers on how to stay healthier. It's good to see you, Dr. Holman.
Hey, thanks so much for having me, Catherine.
These guys, what in the world? What are some of the most important screenings that they do need to be thinking about each year?
Yeah, I'm going to start simple and say just their blood pressure. Cardiovascular disease is one of the biggest killers for men. And just knowing simple numbers like your cholesterol, get checked for diabetes if you have risk factors, and know your blood pressure, get that checked.
Feels like kind of 40s and 50s, that's when the wheels on the bus start to wobble just a little bit. What are some of the most common problems that you see men face in that part of life?
One thing, we talk a lot about vaccinations these days with COVID. There's, recommendations for tetanus and pertussis. They may need to get, on top of the yearly flu shot, some other vaccines too, if they haven't had it updated. A lot of guys just fall off the bus, and after their parents stop taking them to see the doctor, they don't see a doctor at that age group. So, just the screening we talked about with lab work and blood pressure, all that's really helpful to kind of know what's going on.
Yeah, I mentioned in the lead-in that they kind of ignore things until they get really bad. What kinds of symptoms should they be more keyed into and not ignoring?
Great point. I think guys often, they feel good about taking their car for their oil change, but yet, coming in themselves to get checked out, it's a little different. So some of those symptoms that could be red flags, chest pain, obviously, that you don't assume that it's acid reflux because it could be heart related. Headaches, that could be a sign of high blood pressure. And then there's one that guys don't like to talk a lot about, but it can be kind of what we call the canary in the coal mine. If they have erectile troubles, sometimes it could be a sign of vascular disease. So definitely want to talk about that with their doctor.
Prostate exam, I know, is another one that they kind of neglect. When should that first happen for men?
It depends on family history too. And that's something that, I think if they don't go in and talk about what's going on with their family, can be missed a lot. So, if they have a family history of cancer, whether it's prostate or colon cancer, they'll definitely need to get checked a lot sooner than on average. But guys really worry about that exam because it can be uncomfortable. And there's blood tests, you can get that are just as accurate. So if they really don't want an exam like that, don't let that scare you away from seeing a doctor is my take home point to men.
Yeah, so important. Let's talk about low testosterone. Is that a common issue for men? And how do you address that?
It can be a problem for men. Often it shows up if they're fatigued or have low energy. But honestly, there's a lot more common causes for those things. And I think with COVID, we're seeing a lot of mental health problems. And sometimes guys are hesitant to talk about that. I think, often there's a lot of advertisements for low testosterone, but really I think the most important thing is talk to your doctor. Low sex drive can be an indicator for it, but also can be an indicator for depression and anxiety.
Let's don't let men get to their 40s and 50s quickly. Can you tell me about the guy in his 30s, what he should be looking at?
So yearly physical, check that blood pressure, check those labs for diabetes, cholesterol, kind of see what their risk factors are based on their family. May need some cancer screening depending on that.
All right, fellas, we're calling you out. Go see your doctor. And if you don't have one, call Spectrum Health. They'll get you set up. Thanks, Dr. Holman. Good to see you.
Great to be here. Thank you.